Hey everybody, welcome into GoBlueRaiders.tv. We're in the Ascend Federal Credit Union studios here on the MTSU campus, and great day for some Just Love coffee and a good conversation with women's basketball coach Rick Insell. And summertime is a little different for you and your staff this year due to some rule changes that the men got to experience a year or two ago, and now that's followed along in the women's game.
Really, Chip, a lot of people think, that when the season's not going on that we coaches just kind of shut it down. But I'm telling you, the summer's probably our busiest time. You've got camps, you've got recruiting, and now that we can work with our players, which is exciting within itself. I always look forward to when we can walk in that first day, even if it's just 2 hours a week. I look forward to that. And then I was able to do that this summer. It was exciting to me and our coaching staff, and our players really enjoyed it. And I saw some kids out there that was really, really getting after it. And I think that's going to help us.
Yeah, and I think it's human nature that if you're left to your own devices, sometimes you may not work quite as hard as when there's supervision. And even though they know that they're only going to see you once a week for 2 hours, there may be that extra effort that they put in the other 4 or 5 days.
I don't think there's any doubt about that, because see, really and truly, we couldn't even. The rules had it where we could not even walk into the weight room. If we walked in by accident, then that was a secondary violation. And now
I could walk in and watch your kids play a pickup game where you couldn't.
But you couldn't say anything to me. If you did, that was a violation.
Right,
if you said, "Well, hey, so Ebony Rose really looking good. She made a great move there," or whatever, that
I could guess. I could guess that, and just, without even seeing her play.
But now, see, we can even go into the strength conditioning room, and it's just that touch where you can talk to them and talk about what's going on with their life and their families, and what's going on back home, what's going on in their apartment, and it's just that situation now that we can have. And then the 2 hours, we kind of busted ours up into an hour 2 different times during the week, and just go solid and really work on the mental toughness side of it more than anything.
Yeah, and that way, I mean, you have it in 2 1-hour bursts where it can be really intense, to where if you had a 2-hour practice in the summertime, that it might tail off an hour and a half into it. So you probably get more out of it.
We do, and them, and also the other 6 hours with Coach Riley. I mean, we need that. I mean, we need, for us to be able to compete with the teams that we're going to have to play non-conference and in the conference, we've got to be a lot stronger. We've got to be a lot mentally tougher. And Coach Riley has done a great job with that over the years for us. And I think that's it gets down to the end of the year, and you see our team still going as strong as they've gone. And you got to look at what Matt's done for our team there.
Speaking of rules, the NCAA Rules Committee for basketball announced some rule changes. There were a couple on the men's side, but one that could make a huge difference across the country, probably not for you offensively, but for you defensively could really help you, is there will finally be a 10-second rule to get the ball across midcourt in women's basketball.
I think it'll help our program in the fact that we press so much. If you're not teams that don't press, it might help them a little, but we press all the time, and so therefore I think it's going to play a big part into our strategy and what we want to do and how we do it. So, we're excited about that part of it. Basketball's a basketball, and we had the 10-second in high school, so it's not going to be that big a deal to me, but it might be to some of the other coaches out there.
Yeah. Now and always what has been kind of floated out there. Well, it was as a trade-off. Well, there's no 10-second rule, but you have a 30-second shot
clock.
So, but now you're going to have the 30-second clock and the 10-second rule. Personally, would you like to see the clocks between the men and the women's game be equal at 35 or 30, or does you think it gets a little confusing?
I like it at 30. I mean, our philosophy is the more we shoot it, the more we get to shoot it. So it's not going to affect us a whole lot. I think you've seen enough of our teams to know that when we get a crack, we're putting it up.
I understand, but I think 30, because of the way you play defense, also helps you.
The 30 would play more to us.
Yeah, the 30 plays well to you guys because, I mean, I don't care who you are, the farther you get into a shot clock,
right,
there are more opportunities for a defensive breakdown.
Let's hope that, the last couple of years we've been getting into the shot clock more than I like. Let's hope that this year, with the experience that we've got with Shanice and Caroline, that's going to help that situation a little bit. But, and again, that point guard position this year is going to be very competitive.
Really is.
Petty, you got Shanice, and you got Caroline. So I like that. I like going in with 3-point guards. It's the first time in about 3 years I've had this situation.
And all three of them bring a little something different to the table. So that could be that three-headed monster could really pay dividends for you.
Well, Shanice now's got 2 years of experience starting. Caroline, she's kind of real quiet, but I'm telling you, she gets after it.
Yeah.
And then Patty has just been, you look at her resume coming in. MVP of the state tournament. MVP of her conference a couple of times. I mean, won 2 state championships. Been in the finals of the state, I think, 3 times. So, there's no substitute for that.
Right. What about your new girls? How many are on campus yet, or how many will be on next week?
Well, they'll be here July the 12th. I think is when they're all coming in. But right now, all of our oldie goldies are in, and our new girls they're kind of hacked off about that because they want to be here working, But they can't until we enroll here and get started in July. But they'll all be here.
Speaking of oldie goldies, hello, it's me again, Alicia Clark, back on campus. She will be as soon as the WNBA season is over, but what a resource to have on your staff.
Well, she's, Alicia, what I was looking at when we went through the interview process with a lot of people, and it kept coming back to me, one of the first people that we did interview was Alicia. And I kept thinking back about all the times that people said she couldn't do something. And one of the things that Alicia looked me in the eye and said, "I want this job, Coach." And, I kept thinking the whole time was, hey, this young lady has overachieved in high school. They said she couldn't play in college. She's a leading scorer in the nation 2 years in a row. They
4-time conference player of the year.
Oh yeah, said she couldn't play in the WNBA. Now she's signed a contract for a second year. So, let's bring that out. I hope someone tells her that she's not going to be a good coach. Is what I hope. And that would be the great. Somebody on the road recruiting and say, you don't need to be coaching. You need to find another field or something. But hey, we're excited about Alicia. I mean, when she goes and talks to the players that we've got to talk to, her attitude, the way she carries herself, and then
I can't imagine anybody going into this situation that does, as a new coach that does not have a lot of recruiting experience, who is a better fit for it than Alicia.
Well, she's got all the tools. Now she's got to learn to be a coach, and she can do that. I'll tell you a little story right quick. Some lady in one of our camps, our individual camps, said, "Well, I took my daughter to Vanderbilt, and the post coaches down there were working with my daughter, and said, 'Here, you've got a guard coach.' And I said, 'Well, ma'am, our post coach is playing in the WNBA.'"
Yeah.
So she said, "Oh,
you're not afraid to throw that out."
No.
And that kind of leads me into the question I was going to ask you. How do you think that can affect your recruiting? Because I mean, right now she is finishing up her season in the WNBA, but as a carrot and also by example, here's what our program can do for you.
Now, some of the things that we hear on the recruiting trail is. And these are coming from other programs. They're saying and in particular the SEC programs. You come to us, we're going to get you in the WNBA. You're going to get a chance to play in the WNBA. Well, now when Alicia Clark goes in and sits down with them and said, "Look, we've had Chrissy Givens, we've had Amber Holt. I've been there now 2 years, and Ebony Rose probably going to get recruited. No doubt they're already talking to her. Mm-hmm. So hey." I led the nation in scoring. I played at the Seattle Storm. I mean, she can answer all of those questions for them. I think what's happening now, Chip, is there's a lot of your athletes out there that are better educated than they were 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that, better educated on the women's game. And they know that they can come to a Middle Tennessee and they can get it done. And if they so desire to go play in the WNBA, that'll be there for them. If they decide to go be an electrical engineer like Ebony Rowe, then they can do that. I think more than anything, and I've said this to you, and I know this is getting a little bit off track, when we go in and we sit down with parents, we don't have to work that hard to sell Middle Tennessee State University. Just recently, when I sat down with a single mom, she was telling me more about our nursing school than I knew about it.
Yeah.
And I was excited about that. I got excited listening to her talk about Middle Tennessee's nursing school. So when we sit down with these parents, it's not a tough sale as far as our academics is concerned.
Yeah. Last thing, we are counting down to July 1, which will be our first day as an official member of Conference USA, and there will be things going on all over town here in Murfreesboro and as a citywide celebration. You had an opportunity to go to the spring meetings. Just kind of give me an overall impression of what you learned there that you brought home and says, boy, this is going to be helpful to my program, our athletic department, and our university.
Well, they have some great coaches. The women's programs have some great coaches, and they're very much concerned about growing the game. Now, I'm excited about that. They want to do what's right. They want to play the tougher non-conference schedules. And, right now, the Conference USA is 8 as far as RPI is concerned with the 32 conferences. This is the first time I've gone into a meeting, and they're talking about let's move that 8 to a 5. And this is what we've got to do. We never heard that with the other. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not down in the Sun Belt because I enjoyed our time there. But I like that, and that's what I'm all about. What can we do to grow our conference? What can we do to grow our teams? And you do that by playing competition. And that's how you get 3 and 4 teams and sometimes 5 teams into the NCAA tournament. That's what we got to do.
All right, well, it's a busy summer for
and,
sure.
I got enough Sun Belt Conference rings. Now I need a Conference USA ring.
Exactly right. So that's it for us today from the Ascend Federal Credit Union studio. The Just Love coffee cup is just about to the bottom after this conversation. And as Coach Insell always says,
go blue.